Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Telikilaas. How are you, my dear students? I hope you are safe and fine. My name is Alim Muhammad and I'm from Dhaal Atoll Education Center, and I'm going to explain to you exchange rate, the introduction of exchange rate. Before I start, I would like to request all my students to be ready for this lesson. To do that, you can have your textbook, you can have your notebook, pen, pencil, or if possible, you could have your tablet as well, so that you can search for information which has been explained in this lesson. First of all, I would like to share you the learning intention of this lesson. The learning intention of this lesson is we are actually learning to define exchange rate. We are also learning to define fixed and floating exchange rate. And also, for the last learning intention, we are actually learning to define appreciation and depreciation of currencies. We will be looking into detail of these things later, but for the time being, in this lesson, you should be able to define these things. And the success criteria is we will be successful if we can, or if you can, write the definition of exchange rate with a simple example. You will also be successful if you can write the difference between the definition of fixed exchange rate and floating exchange rate. At last, you should be able to write the difference between appreciation and depreciation of exchange rate using a numerical example. Now, in order to understand what is exchange rate, I would like to share with you a simple scenario. You have a textbook, economics course book with you. There is one very important book that can be used with your economics course book. That is Cambridge IGCSE and O-level economics workbook. But this workbook is actually not available in Maldives, and it is not given with you in your book list. So, we need to buy this from some other country. So, let's assume that in UK, this book cost £15. In China, this cost 20.3 yuan. And in Germany, this cost 10.5 euro. Pound is the currency that is being used in UK. Yuan is the currency that is being used in China. And euro is the currency that is being used in Germany. So now, I want you to think for a while what information we will need in order to buy this book. Just think for a while. Just think for a while. What information will be needed? Yes, we will need to know the exchange rate of these countries. So, when I check Bank of Maldives, there is a list of exchange rate. There is a list of exchange rate of Maldivian rupiah given. And when I check, it states that 1 UK pound is equal to 18.1722 rupiah. 1 Chinese yuan renminbi is equal to 2.1021, and 1 euro is equal to 16.1431. Now, take your calculator. Get ready for a calculation. Now, if the book cost £15 in UK, how much rupiah I have to spend? If the book cost 20.3 yuan in China, how much rupiah I have to cost? And if it is 10.5 euro in Germany, how much rupiah I have to spend? So to make it easy for you, I'll just show you some more information. For example, 1 pound is equal 18.1722 Maldivian rupiah according to the Bank of Maldives statistic. So, how much rupiah will be 15 pound? It's not very difficult. You just have to do the simple mathematics of cross multiplication. So, it is equal to 15 multiplied by 18.1722, which is equal to 272.58 Maldivian rupiah. So if I want to buy this book in UK, I will have to spend around 272 rupiah. Now, I want you to calculate your answers for China and Germany. Are you done? Okay, let me show you the answers. It is actually around 42.67 rupiah if I want to buy that in China. And it will cost 169.50 rupiah if I want to buy in Germany. So which country is most cheapest for me? Yes, it is China. So how do we know all this? We know all this because of the exchange rate, because we explore the exchange rate. This is the use of exchange rate. This is the real use of exchange rate. So now, I hope you understood what is the meaning of exchange rate. We will be going into detail later, but for the time being, understanding the meaning of exchange rate. Now, you can define exchange rate like this. It is the value of one currency expressed in terms of another currency. This is one of the ways that you can write or define the meaning of exchange rate. And when you give the definition, it's always very important to give a simple example like $1 equal 15.42 Maldivian rupiah. Now, I will just share a video from YouTube which actually show the exchange rate of Maldivian rupiah against some other countries. Thailand, 1 Maldivian rupiah equals 2.14 Thai baht, that is Thailand currency. In Japan, it's 7.04 yen. China, 1 Maldivian rupiah is equal to 0.46 yuan. Philippines, 1 Maldivian rupiah is equal to 3.30 Philippines peso. In Indonesia, 1 Maldivian rupiah is very high, 1064.20 Indonesian rupiah. And in Pakistan, 1 Maldivian rupiah equal 10.82 Pakistani rupees. In India, 1 Maldivian rupiah equals 4.96 Indian rupees. Turkey, 1 Turkish lira is equal to 2.29 Maldivian rupiah. Saudi Arabia, 1 Saudi riyal equal around 4.09 Maldivian rupiah. Kuwait, 1 dinar is equal 49.50 Maldivian rupiah. Australia, 1 Australian dollar equal 9.23 Maldivian rupiah. Canada, it's 10.83 Maldivian rupiah. In UK, it's 18.90 Maldivian rupiah. 1 pound is equal to 18.9 Maldivian rupiah. Euro, the currency of Europe, 1 euro equals 16.64 Maldivian rupiah. USA, as we all know that, it's 15.40 or 15.42 Maldivian rupiah. Okay, so that's all about the understanding of what is the meaning of exchange rate. Now, we will go into fixed and floating exchange rate system. To understand the meaning of what is fixed exchange rate and what is floating exchange rate. Now, to explain this, I would like to share you a website called www.xe.com, where you can use this website to compare the exchange rates of different countries. So you will be able to compare the behaviors of any two currencies that you wish for the past week, for the past day, or for the past month or year also. So when you go to this website, you will be seeing a dialog box like this, where you can select any two currencies and you can click into view chart. So by doing that, you will see the relationship between the exchange rate of these two currencies in a chart. So I went to this website and I just searched for the relationship between Saudi riyal and US dollar. And this is what I found it. As you can see, from April to May, for the past month, 1 US dollar is exactly same as 3.75. There is no change. So April also it's equal to 3.75, and May also it's equal to 3.75. So what does this mean? Is this floating exchange rate? Will this be floating exchange rate? As you can see that the exchange rate is same, fixed. So this is an example of a fixed exchange rate. When I compare about the relationship between US dollar and Indian rupees, this is what I came up. There is a lot of fluctuations between April and May, lot of fluctuations. So this cannot be a fixed exchange rate. So this is known as a floating exchange rate. So US dollar and India is having a floating exchange rate system. Now, let's understand how to define what is fixed exchange rate and floating exchange rate. An exchange rate where a value is set at a particular level against another currency or currencies by a central bank is called a fixed exchange rate. So this is being actually set by government. So on behalf of government, the central bank actually will be dealing with this. They will fix at a certain rate against another currency if they have a fixed exchange rate. So for example, 1 US dollar equal 3.75 Saudi Riyal is a good example you can give as a fixed exchange rate. Now how to define floating exchange rate? This is an exchange rate which can change frequently as it is determined by the market forces of demand and supply of the currency. So government, central bank, we have no authority to influence this type of exchange rate. So the market forces of demand and supply of this particular currency will be actually influencing the rate in this type of exchange rate. US dollar and Indian rupee is an example of a floating exchange rate system. That's all about fixed and floating exchange rate system. Now we are moving into appreciation and depreciation of currency. Again, I will be explaining the details with demand and supply diagrams of what is appreciation and depreciation later. But for the time being, you need to just understand what is appreciation and what is depreciation. In order to understand, I will give you a simple numerical example. For example, if 1 US dollar equal 15.42 is the current exchange rate, and if it changes to 1 US dollar equal 18 rupiah, what happened to the value of Maldivian rupiah? Just think about this. Maldivian rupiah value changes from 15.42 to 18. Does the value of Maldivian rupiah increase or the value of Maldivian rupiah decrease? Just think about it. By looking at the numerical value, some of you might think that the value of Maldivian rupiah increase, but it's just the opposite. Actually, this is called depreciation or decrease in the value of Maldivian rupiah. Because now, in order to buy $1, we have to spend 18 rupiah instead of 15.42. So that's a disadvantage to our currency. That's called depreciation of exchange rate. It can be defined as decrease in the value of one currency in terms of another currency. On the other hand, if the value of currency changes from 15.42 to 13, now what happens to the value of Maldivian rupiah? Now this time it will be opposite, right? Yes, this is called increase in the value of Maldivian rupiah, or this is called appreciation of Maldivian rupiah. This can be defined as increase in the value of one currency in terms of another currency. Why we say this is increase in the value? Because now in order to buy 1 US dollar, we have to spend less Maldivian rupiah. That's why it's called appreciation or increase in the value of the currency. Okay, so in today's lesson, I explained to you the definition of exchange rate, the definition and the meaning of floating and fixed exchange rate, and the difference between the meaning of appreciation and depreciation of exchange rate. So I hope you understood the meaning of what is exchange rate, what is floating exchange rate, what is fixed exchange rate, and what is appreciation and depreciation of exchange rate. Once again, I will tell you. Exchange rate can be defined as the value of one currency expressed in terms of another currency. For example, $1 equal 15.42 Maldivian rupiah. Floating exchange rate can be defined as a type of exchange rate system where it changes frequently according to the market forces of demand and supply. Fixed exchange rate is a type of exchange rate where the rate is fixed by central bank or government against other currencies. Appreciation is actually an increase in the value of one currency in terms of another currency. Depreciation, on the other hand, is decrease in the value of one currency in terms of another currency. Now I hope you understood the simple meaning of these terms. This will be a good exercise to do at home. Just try yourself an assessment in your notebook. You can just try to define what is exchange rate. You can try to explain the difference between fixed and floating exchange rate. And also you can try to answer this one. It says, if the exchange rate is changed from US dollar 15.42 to MVR 18, what happened to the value of Maldivian rupiah? You can write these questions and answers, and you can show to your teacher and ask him whether the answers are correct or not. That's all for today's lesson. The next lesson will be how exchange rates is determined in floating exchange rate system. And before I conclude, I would like to tell all my dear students to stay at home, stay safe, and always wash your hand. Thank you so much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.